This is the new foot tractor from Patagonia. I'm here with Chris. Chris, tell us about the background to this boot, because it's quite unique.
It is a unique boot. We've collaborated with the boot maker Danner in Portland, Oregon, and with Vibram to create what we think is the longest lasting wading boot on the market. So we worked with Danner with their very traditional stitch down construction and very traditional long lasting materials like treated full grain leather, 1,000 denier Cordura uppers, and then heavy duty Vibram outsoles to really create something that is going to give excellent support, good stability, great traction in the water, and then uniquely the ability to actually resole the boot.
Right, yeah, I noticed the stitching along here.
On
so that's like your traditional boot, let's say,
that's
where
right.
Back in the day where you used to be able to just take it to your bootmaker
exactly.
and put a new sole on it. So just for the folks back home in Australia, New Zealand, give us a bit of background on Danner as a boot company, because a lot of people wouldn't be familiar with Danner in Australia and New Zealand.
Okay. So Danner is a company based in the Pacific Northwest in Portland, Oregon. They've been making boots since 1932. This particular construction, this stitch down construction is how we refer to it. It's a very traditional build for them. And they're pretty famous for making boots for law enforcement, military, hunting, hiking, outdoor. So they've got deep experience in making boots, which was a big reason for collaborating with them on this, is trying to get a build of just the absolute best quality. And you can look far and wide, but finding somebody with their depth of expertise and commitment to quality is difficult.
Their connection with your philosophy on sustainability and the kind of what seems to me one of the core objectives of this boot, as far as being a longer lasting boot.
Yeah, and that's absolutely right. They're committed to creating product that doesn't go obsolete. We're committed to making building the best product. And so I feel like this boot is really a great physical embodiment of those two brand promises of build the best product, make things that don't go obsolete. And that repairability factor, that's definitely a big part of this boot's DNA. It's not just resolable, so if wearing it under normal conditions, you'll eventually wear the sole out. You can send it to Danner, have that boot resoled, but they also have the capability of actually recrafting the boot, which means that they can recondition the uppers, they can replace the liners, they can replace hardware.
Right. Okay.
And they do that on the original last. Right. So what you get back after that recrafting process is a boot that is still distinctly yours. It has your footprint on it, really.
Gotcha.
But you get it in, almost like new condition.
Yeah, it's not just a piece sort of stitched in that it's going to be a little bit awkward or something like that. Yeah, well, I fish with these during the summer, and they're quite a different boot. When you initially put them on, they've got kind of a higher upper. You can feel the support that comes with that. But the canvas is the thing I notice the most. It's just really flexible around the ankles. And it takes a little getting used to, as I say, because it's not like your traditional boot.
Yeah, it's not traditional in the sense of like most of the wading boots on the market, including the ones that we've made in past seasons. They've had a lot of foam in them. And so you feel that foam wrapping around and you think, okay, that's supportive.
Yeah.
One of the things that the foam does is absorb and hold water. So that makes the boot heavier. It makes it take a long time to dry out. And actually this upper design has been around for a long time. I think the longevity of this in the military realm, wildland firefighters, folks like that, I think, you have lacing all the way down from the toe to basically up the shin. That gives you really good support. And the fact is, support really starts at the bottom of the boot. And this stitch down construction gives you a really nice, wide, stable platform. And that is where the support begins, is in stability in the bottom of the boot. And then you get good fit, you get security here in the lacing. and that's where the overall fit comes from.
Certainly, when we tried it, that was the first word that came out of our mouth, was stable, and supportive was probably the next one.
Yeah, but it does, it's something. It's going to feel different than putting on, something more like a moon boot that's got all the foam and molding around it. But the difference in weight when you get that boot wet is significant, and then also the dry times. Yeah,
they dry really fast. We just put them out in the sun, and an hour and a half later they were dry.
Yeah.
So and the leather, because it's one of those things that I looked at it when I first looked at the boot and went, oh, how's the leather going to go when it's wet and that sort of thing. And so what have you found in development as far as the leather's robustness?
Well, it's a very robust. It's a full grain leather. It's been treated. It's called saline treated leather, and so it's basically been processed in a way that it doesn't absorb water. So it's not going to go through that swelling, drying, and cracking that you might encounter if you just went in a regular leather boot.
And you've also got a cleated version of the boot.
That's right. This is our foot tractor aluminum bar. So we've had this aluminum bar technology for a while. It was developed by Yvon Chouinard, right, who was famously known as a climber first. So this soft aluminum, it deforms and gives you tremendous grip on the rock. It's really more of a surface area principle rather than like a mechanical grab that you get from a cleat or a spike.
I think that's important to explain. I think your system's quite misunderstood often by people. I've often heard comments from people, oh, those big crazy plates, and it's like, no, the metal's meant to actually grab.
So it's soft aluminum, and that aluminum it just immediately deforms on all the irregularities in rock. I mean, we're talking on a very small
granular level.
Right. And that's what you get tremendous adhesion in slime covered cobble and things like that. When we first brought this boot, not the Danner model obviously, but our early iterations of the aluminum bar boot to market, all the reviews started out with something like, I couldn't believe how good it gripped. Everybody expressed their disbelief at how well it worked. Yeah, because when you look at it, you sort of go, I can't get my head around how that works. Smooth.
But
but it does work. And and it bites in other ways too. All the edges provide ways for it to bite into different substrates. And then this is a brand new sole pattern that we developed with Vibram to accommodate this new configuration of aluminum bars. So we separated the bars, we moved them closer to the edge, and then you get a mix of.
So it's actually a dedicated sole pattern that suits the actual cleat system.
And all the sole patterns on the boots we developed with Vibram. So these are not just kind of off the shelf patterns. It's a specific kind of lug pattern that we developed with them to work in different kinds of surfaces. Obviously, people are wearing them outside of the water, getting the stream bed, and then on the surface. This particular boot, the foot tractor, uses Vibram's Hydro Grip rubber, which is the stickiest compound in the water on its own. The new River Salt boot, so this is the other boot in the line. This is a boot that we developed for wet wading, whether you're fishing freshwater or saltwater, so for flats anglers or for people who are fishing pocket water in the mountains or whatever. We developed this boot for wet wading and much more hiking, and so this sole is built from Vibram's Mega Grip rubber. And so the Mega Grip is it's more cushioning for the hike in. It's lighter weight, and it gives you great grip in and out of the water.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting one. I never expected you guys to do a salt and a freshwater version of this in one boot. So it's always one of those dilemmas, especially when people are getting into salt. Do I go and buy a new pair of boots? Do I just wear a cheap pair of rubber booties? So it's nice to know that people have got the crossover if they want it.
Yeah, and this is, we designed this boot to work with our packable wader that we introduced in spring of 2018. So that booty on the wader is a very low volume. It's not that traditional thick neoprene. So we designed this boot specifically to work with that wader, which meant that this has lower volume than a normal wading boot where you're trying to accommodate that thick neoprene.
So it's fitting to a person's normal shoe size.
Much more like a hiking boot. This boot really fits much more like a hiking boot. And essentially, It's a hiking boot that you can get wet and have it dry out quickly, and then sticks in a variety of situations. So the Mega Grip rubber is a great all around. And then it also has areas on the sole, you can see here maybe, where you can add studs. So if you want to get that extra grip of metal mixed in, it has areas to attach the studs, and we've actually put reinforcement in the sole itself so that those studs will not fall out when you're in use. So
fantastic.
And then we also, in general, used much more webbing on this boot, again, to keep the weight down and lighter, thinking that this boot is one where anglers are really hiking farther. Non-corrosive hardware and a nylon speed lacing system. So.
Very cool. Well, it's a very impressive boot. It feels like it's got
it's
substance
solid
to it.
It's gonna last. We're putting it out there as, we think this is the last boot people are gonna need to buy with that resoleability, that durability element. So they're built for the long haul.
Yeah, well, I certainly enjoyed trying them, and who knows, I might hand them on to my 5-year-old one day. Wouldn't it be nice if we lived in a world where we go back to those sort of things? So if you're in for a boot that lasts, that's sustainable, and that you can repair just like the good old days, but with modern tech in it as well, so that you can fish really well with it, I suggest you check out the Foot Tractor from Patagonia. Thanks for joining us, Chris.
All right, thank you.
Cheers.